robots took my podcast, man.
Two men on a dream vacation.
What the hell are they doing?
I sure think they killed her.
Frank, they've seen us.
And get trapped in an unbelievable nightmare. 20th Century Fox presents Race the Devil.
We saw somebody murdered.
What?
Some sort of ritual across the river. A girl got stabbed. They're chasing us.
Starring Peter Fonda and Warren Oates. There was nowhere they could hide.
Alice, look what was stuck to the back window. It's some kind of message. Witchcraft.
Witches?
There was no one they could trust.
I killed my dog.
Well, did anybody hear anything? Didn't anybody see anything?
There was nothing they could do.
They followed us all the way from Bandera. They're here right now watching us.
But run and fight.
Shoot him, Frank!
And race with the devil. Race with the devil. When you race with the devil, you'd better be faster than hell.
Welcome to our podcast, The Robots Took My Podcast. I am Jordan.
And I am Anthony.
And we're talking about Race with the Devil from 1975, starring Warren Oates and Peter Fonda and Loretta Swit, Hot Lips from MASH, and
Hot Lips from MASH.
I forgot the other actress's name that plays Peter Fonda's girl.
She's Lara Parker.
Lara Parker, yes.
Star of stage and television as Kelly.
What a movie. I mean, it starts off with a creepy title sequence for starters, with Leonard Rosenman music that sounds very creepy. Although some of
the music is weird. It's surreal. It's just kind of like screeching violins, and you're sitting there like they're not trying to have a catchy theme song here. Like they're telling you stuff is happening here. Stuff is going on.
Leonard Rosenman's most powerful scores, I dare to say, honestly. And I'm a big fan of music scores. And Leonard Rosenman, some of the music on this movie sounds like he reused it from Planet of the Apes, or from Battle for the Planet of the Apes, or Beneath the Planet of the Apes. Those are two other movies he scored. But this score, it's very supportive. It helps. And yeah, it's so creepy with the screeching violins.
Well, let's back up here. For those the uninitiated who have not seen this film, spoiler alert, we're going to talk the hell out of this movie. Yeah. And I just have to say that Warren Oates, I mean, everyone loves Peter Fonda, Easy Rider, the list goes on. I mean, everything in the 60s and 70s, Hell's Angels, whatever.
He's done a lot of interesting stuff, definitely.
Yeah, we don't need to talk about Peter Fonda that much, but we do need to talk about Sir Warren Oates.
Warren Oates. We should have knighted him.
He's not really knighted. But yes, in the history of film, of character actors, Warren Oates just stands shoulders above many others. He was in so many fantastic films. This is one of them.
For a quick reference, he was in the movie Stripes as Sergeant Holka. Just for
Sergeant
a quick
Holka.
Layman reference, yes. That
bring me the head
was
of
always at odds
at. That's for the layman who likes Stripes. There you go. There's your thing.
Lighten up, Francis.
Yeah. Good lines in that. He was great, Matt, but that wasn't when he was dominating the screen. He was a second fiddle, and played a very good standard.
Yeah.
He's a stalwart actor. He's going to do what he's going to do. And he's one of these actors that always plays himself, kind of.
He almost reached leading man status in the 70s, though, for a moment there.
Bring me the head of Alfredo Garcia. Like, this is Peter Fonda was a star. We forget. I don't know how big Warren Oates was at the time, but this is a Warren Oates Peter Fonda joint. I mean, this is like double, billing up there. People must have known who Warren Oates was.
Almost buddy cop billing.
Buddy cop billing,
movie billing.
Equal titles.
Exactly.
And everyone knows
equal
who
screen
Peter
time.
Fonda was. But if you haven't seen Warren Oates movies, and you're not aware of this, please go out and check him out. He's a great character actor, one of my favorites. And if you don't know Warren Oates at this point, you just need to re-examine your life. Like, what are you really doing? What are you spending your time?
You turned me on to this movie back when we were roommates.
Oh yeah. Well, let's say this. Okay, this is a great Warren Oates movie. This is the definition of a cult movie, pun intended.
For sure.
And it's about
and a cult movie.
And a cult movie. It comes at a time in the 70s when there was just like this fascination with Satanism and this paranoia. Like this would make a great double bill with The Devil's Reign. I mean, we could just have a podcast talking about 70s Satanism, 60s and 70s Satanism movies.
Or
It
even
was just
Oddly
everywhere.
Deliverance, I think it would make a good double bill with, you know.
I like the way you're thinking. Small town paranoia, rednecks.
Because it's also big city people vacationing. I almost think because mobile homes and RVs, I guess, and all that were kind of new back then, or kind of, this is almost science fiction in a way, because it's almost like saying, well, this is like a new thing. Does that make sense? You know,
I know
science fiction mobile home movie.
Brand new mobile home. The mobile home is the star of this film.
Partly, yes. It's a character itself in the movie, really. Yeah.
But to catch everyone up, here's the plot. Warren Oates, spoilers all over the place. Warren Oates, Peter Fonda, and their wives are vacationing. They're going from San Antonio, Texas to Aspen, Colorado, and going on a big vacation. They race motorbikes. They have a motorbike shop or a motorcycle shop, like dirt bikes. They're going off on this big vacation. He's been planning this for years, and he just bought this expensive ass RV. He says it's like $36,000. I did the math, Jordan. That'd be $183,000 in today's money. God, like, this is an expensive RV.
It looks expensive for that time, for sure.
Maybe they didn't think about it, but yeah, I mean, it's an expensive RV. And then they're out there drinking, and then they see something they shouldn't have seen.
A lot of drinking in this movie, by the way.
A lot of drinking in this movie. This is a drinking. Drink every time they drink, and you'll be good.
Yeah.
And then they see a satanic sacrifice. The Satanists see them, and for the rest of the movie, they're running from Satanists. That's the movie right there. In a nutshell.
It sounds like you're joking at the moment, but you're not.
That's what the movie's about. I mean,
that is the movie. That is the bizarre part, and it happens. I timed it this time, and it happens within a span of 15 to 20 minutes into the movie already. That's how far in we are already. You know.
Yeah, I
so
looked
things
at it
get off
too.
to a quick start.
And I will say that before we really
doesn't
get
mess
into
around this movie. It doesn't waste time.
You're absolutely right. It's for a 70s movie. Of course, there's probably for modern audiences some slower moments, but it doesn't.
This is fast paced for a 70s movie from an editorial standpoint, in my opinion.
Something is always happening. There's not 30 minutes of people driving. There's not long, drawn out talks. They're really in this situation, and they're fighting for their lives. It's like a survival game.
In the 1970s had a slow pace in every moment. You're right. So it's like, this is definitely fast paced by standards.
It doesn't let up. They're just constantly running this whole movie. And what I like about this is, I will say this first. This movie, interesting enough, is one of 3 movies in which Warren Oates and Peter Fonda, famous Hollywood duo apparently, made together.
Really? I didn't realize that. What was the other one? Or the other 2?
This same year, 1975, 92, and The Shade comes out, in which Warren Oates and Peter Fonda are adverse to each other. I read the book in high school. I think it was basically Peter Fonda goes down to, I haven't seen the movie, but Peter Fonda in the book, he goes down to Key West, Florida, and tries to start a fishing business. I'm sure the movie's great, but then Warren Oates is, if he plays the same character in the novel, is like the guy who's like the fishing guide who has a business, and then Peter Fonda's moving in on his turf. So people
sounds very Hemingway.
It's a very fishing heavy book. I will tell you that. It does feel very Hemingway.
Like Hemingway wrote a Warren Oates movie.
Mm-hmm. The movie before this, and I want to say 72, was a movie I'm very familiar with. I haven't seen it in a long time. What's called The Hired Hand. And it is.
Oh, that's right.
It's a very intimate movie. They play 2 guys in the Old West. There's a guy with his estranged wife, and he comes back to her after many years. It's a very 70s movie. I don't want to go. We're not talking about that movie. That's a very interesting, intimate film about friendship and responsibilities, and family, and it's just
these guys clearly. These 2 guys were clearly in reality Warren Oates and Peter Fonda drinking buddies. you know, and it shows on screen in a good way.
Yeah.
There's a good chemistry with them on screen together. You can see in the movie there's a past with them, even with their characters. I imagine though, yeah, they were zonked out of their minds a lot of times behind the scenes.
Oh, dude, there were some joints smoked on this movie. There were some bumps of cocaine happening on this movie, no doubt.
But their chemistry
they probably had a
shows.
flame coming from. It's beautiful. They have that chemistry. That's one thing. The Hired Hand, actually, Peter Fonda directed The Hired Hand, but they had a very intimate relationship there, and it's similar to this, in that you have the older guy and the younger guy. I did the math. Oates is 47 at this point. Fonda's 35, so he's kind of like that. The
11 years apart.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the big brother to him, maybe more.
The big brother. But yeah, there's and even with their wives, there's just, you believe these people. These are normal people. You believe them. They're going through some stuff, and they have this chemistry. It just
as
immediately.
Bizarre as this movie is, that's what's beautiful about this movie at the same time, I think. And bizarre, and with the bizarre imagery of this movie as well. Yeah, I think the chemistry. It's just real in the movie. Yeah, it's got the Easy Rider thing going again. You know,
exactly.
That you saw in Easy Rider. You know,
cross country. If Easy Rider had Satanists in it,
that
that would have been an interesting movie. These Satanists are trying to get us, man. I don't believe that, man. I just.
The Satanists took my sitar, man.
Who's a Satanist? Yeah, exactly.
No, there was no sitars in Easy Rider. I'm sorry, there was no sitar.
There's even a point where like these hippies, and then like he's like, wait a minute, the hippies are, you know, you can't blame all hippies. Because you got a movie.
Oh, that's right. The sheriff says, you know, hippies move in here, smoke their stuff, put it up their nose, put it in their arm. Then they go out and do this satanic stuff. And these didn't look like hippies.
These weren't like hippies. And I gotta say this,
weren't hippies, Sheriff.
Those that don't know Warren Oates, he just has this way of delivering dialogue. You don't know, it doesn't sound like dialogue when Warren Oates has it. He just has this growling way that he delivers dialogue.
I wouldn't call Warren Oates Warren Oates was Warren Oates. If you got Warren Oates in a movie, you got Warren Oates in a movie. I don't feel like he was a character actor so much as just he was just Warren Oates. But
I guess you're right.
But he was a good actor. But he was a good actor. Great.
Yeah,
actor.
you got that, and you would cast that, and you'd get 100% Warren Oates. Like, he's like, you know, you guys are 100% my book, or. And then it's funny, they're looking. So what happens is they're looking.
You want a gravelly actor or whatever gravelly voice actor, you hire Warren Oates back then. You know, pretty much.
But he just has this effort's presence. You know,
yes, he does.
Peter Fonda's a good actor.
It's like what you got with Harry Dean Stanton. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And both are from the same area of the South, almost. I think, you know.
Yeah, Ned Beatty actors at the same time. Ned Beatty, the great Harry Dean Stanton, and Warren Oates.
Oh wait, was Warren Oates Tennessee or Kentucky? I think
they were Kentucky. They were all from Kentucky.
All Kentucky.
They all were in movies together. I believe they were movies with Ned Beatty. I know Larry Dean Stanton had to be in the movie with Ned Beatty. It's just not coming to me. But in fact,
there's a reference to Harry Dean in the movie. The sheriff says Harry Dean to one of the he calls one of the sheriffs Harry Dean, and that clearly has to be a nod. There's, you know,
just the
clearly that's not an accident. Because they all knew Harry Dean Stanton, so outside the movie.
Of course, man. He was probably sitting there drinking with them. He's like, I'll come over and hang out. It's just the greatness of Warren Oates and Harry Dean Stanton. We could have a whole podcast on that. But
I read that Warren Oates liked to trip on mushrooms, apparently. That was a big thing he liked to do, apparently. He would eat
they were in mescaline country here. You know, they probably did some mescaline. You know, they partied, bro. You know, Harry, you don't have to twist Peter Fonda's arm to do some drugs. You know what I mean?
Far out, man. Yeah.
But they have that chemistry. And Warren Oates, like, for example, like when they see the Satanists, but there's like nudity. They're naked and they're like kind of it's kind of funny. It begins with them sort of naturally, like guys would, like perving on these. Oh, look at this. Take a look at that.
Yeah.
And Warren Oates says, that's not rough. That's choice. You know, like just one of those Warren Oates lines delivered perfectly.
Yeah.
And then they call the sheriff, like we were talking about, and something's wrong with this sheriff. He's like, I don't know. This is really, I don't know.
When he says that in that moment too, you almost don't feel sorry for them. You're like, oh, let the Satanists kill them then.
Yeah.
Just
them
for
do
a
their
moment.
thing, and then they see a murder. And then the Satanists start chasing them immediately.
Yes, and that gets suspenseful. That is really suspenseful, all that.
This movie is action-packed, Pee-wee. it is action packed. Like they don't. 20 minutes in, they're already jumping on the RV. They've broken the window and they're fighting them off. And they're real people. This is what I like in a movie today. Everybody knows martial arts in movies today. Everybody knows how to fight. This is a movie where they're clumsily fighting people. They're not like
real people that don't want
brawlers.
to get into a fight. Yeah, because most people don't want to get into a fight generally in reality.
Yeah. They don't have a bunch of weapons. They don't have anything, they're just And so immediately
and they've got to get the RV out of the little creek bed of rocks when they get it stuck. And they still have the Satanists chasing them on top of that, causing more suspense because you constantly see them running. They're the ticking time bomb, basically.
Yeah, it's really a race against the devil or race from the devil. Race with the devil. But they're racing away from the devil, away from the Satanists at every turn. And then this movie builds a lot of paranoia because
Lara Parker's character becomes like the intuitive one in the whole movie. This is Peter Fonda's wife in the movie, or girlfriend in the movie, or whatever. I can't remember the relationship, but she seems like she becomes the intuitive one, and she seems the most like what the audience is feeling. Oddly, though, she's the most emotional after that, but she's always sensing bad stuff is going to happen in the movie, and it does. That's the weird part about it.
She's absolutely right. Even when Warren Oates is like, I don't know about that, I don't know about this, and Peter Fonda's like, we didn't even tell them where to turn. How did they know? All these people lived here their whole life.
Yeah. And she at one point says, she at what, like already 30 minutes in the movie, she says, I want to go back home. We need to go back home.
And what do I always say? The movie wouldn't have happened if we just listened to that person. Let's go home, everybody. And it's just like, movie over, roll credits, movie would be over. But no, Warren Oates is going to go skiing, by God. You see this? This is a ski ball. So really, you got to blame Warren Oates' character.
He gets them in more trouble, kind of. Yeah. No, we're going skiing. I said we're going skiing. And his wife, oddly, doesn't really. I think if that was, I don't know. I feel like if that was me and my wife, that wouldn't. My wife would have convinced me to drive home.
Suspension of disbelief. It's a movie.
Even after I said, no, we're going skiing, damn it. My wife would have been like, I don't think it's a good idea. No, we're not. I put my.
We're not going.
I'd be okay.
But I think they set it up that basically these guys have been working hard for 5 years building a business, racing motorcycles, and that they need this because I have a feeling
we put it together, baby. We put it together, baby.
There's tension in the relationship and stress.
That's what he says. Yeah.
And he bought that dang RV for $136,000. So I mean, his
wife is very understanding though, Loretta Swit. She just smiles after he says, damn it, we're going skiing. Doesn't say anything. Doesn't tell him to stop drinking or that he's drinking too much at some point in the evening before the whole cult thing.
Okay, this is A to 7. Well, they talk about those guys are probably drunk.
And she says it's not. It wouldn't be the first time he woke up with a hangover.
They're on vacation too. It's the first day. This movie happens over 2 days.
That's true.
This movie happens over 2 days, and notably, I don't think they sleep.
And I do say, if you work hard, you earned a buzz.
Yeah, I mean, come on. It's the 70s, too.
I am of the same philosophy as they are.
Drink. Jeez.
You work hard, you play hard, right?
But I will say this is 100% through and through a Texas movie. Okay, the director's from Texas.
Is what I also, being a Texan, I love.
It's almost like it could live in the same universe as The Getaway. They could pass on the road. You know what I mean?
I agree. Yeah, because it's the same era, the same decade, and yeah, both Warren Oates and both shot in Texas, both around San Antonio.
And it's just basically out in South Central Texas, and it's just I don't think it's very pretty down there. It's brushy, but it definitely adds to the middle of nowhere aspect.
Yeah. It's what people think of when they think of Texas, generally outside of Texas. I think it's kind of that area.
That brushy area, and
the rugged, brushy, kind of almost looks like California a bit of parts, oddly.
Yeah, like a non-hilly, non-mountain California.
Very dry, yeah.
But it adds to this middle of the nowhere feel and this paranoia.
They did drive onto that property out of nowhere. Did they even bother to check, like, if that was private property?
Whose side are you on, Jordan? George's like, this is a movie about religious tolerance. Is really at the end of the day, people should be allowed to
Who was
practice
really doing something wrong here?
private property. It's all about private property.
I don't mean to sound like the Satanist lawyer over here. No, anyway, continue. They get this note though.
They get this note from a lawyer because they've been trespassing. No, they get a note
after they've broken the windows and tried to
from the Satanist with runes on it.
Yeah,
and then they go to the library to get some books
because there is no Google back then.
There's no Google. There's It's very payphone heavy movie.
Yeah.
Let us remember
and the
that
local library happens to be very close to the RV.
It's very weird. And then things start, the sheriff is weird, and they kind of want to play this off like it's not really a thing. They find a dead dog even and blood on the ground. It's just like, well, maybe this could just be the dog's blood.
The sheriff is way laid back already. Yeah. I mean, like,
he's way too cool about a possible murder in Satanists. Oh, we've got these Satanists. They're like roaches. You spray for them and they just keep coming back.
Well,
and he's like,
could be dog's blood. It could be dog's blood. It could be animal's blood. The first thing he says when they go to back to the murder scene.
Just unconcerned.
That's the only part of the movie you're already like, is this guy really a sheriff in a small town? I mean, even in a small town, I get it, but.
And then the deputy just totally contaminates the sample, like grabs the dirt and just shoves it in an envelope. It's like, yeah, we'll look this up, blah, 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 blah. All right, you guys have fun. Enjoy your trip.
I mean, I guess I believe it at the same time, though, because I did live in a small town in Texas where at one point where the cops were all corrupt. So I guess, see the sheriff already not giving a fuck or at the murder scene, I guess.
Yeah. They travel some miles and miles of Texas. Everyone's a Satanist in Texas. That's the thing you don't know. Is like, is everybody in Texas a Satanist? Are they all, or is it just a few of them following them? Like, it makes it clear that something's wrong, and then it really does a good job of building tension and paranoia. Especially Laura Parker's character Kelly. She's like, people are staring at them. Like, they go to this pool and everyone's staring at them. This RV park.
Yeah, and you could obviously it was because she's the most traumatized, but at the same time she's like the soul of the movie kind of still at the same time. She's like the little girl in them that first saw the ants. But she's kind of she's like the intuition of the movie though,
And then of course there's like a whole series of gas station attendants and all sorts of things. They're really just trying to get to Amarillo. That's all they're trying to do. Get to Amarillo.
Get to a major city at least, I guess.
Yeah, so they can report this because Peter Fonda gets some soil samples. Like, I don't trust these guys.
That's what it is, because the sheriffs aren't doing jack shit about it, basically.
And so even Peter Fonda's a little, and Warren Oates is like, Warren Oates just wants to go skiing, everybody.
Still. And in fact, they still take time to motocross in the middle of all this, too. Now that I can understand too. I oddly had a drinking buddy in Texas that invited me to go motocrossing with him. So that seemed believable too to me, oddly, and he was older than me, still about the same, just like me. And I was Peter Fonda to his Warren Oates.
And you ran across some Satanists.
We ran across Satanists at one point as well. Yeah.
I mean, for those that don't know, Texas is just overrun with Satanists. Like every small town is nothing but Satan. So,
and not joking, there is a lot of cultism in Texas, though. There is a lot of cults in Texas. I'm sorry. I'm gonna say it. Yes.
Too soon. Oh, like Branch Davidians, and there's
but it
that
other guy out in
West
I'm sure
Texas
there's still.
Bendera is a big tourist town. It's really nice out there, but there's Satanists everywhere. What can you do? Every honky tonk is just full of fighting drunk Satanists.
Deep down inside, they're all Satanists. Yes. Every redneck. I just offended rednecks now. I'm sorry. No.
Well, I mean, this movie just kind of goes with a clip, and it's just they're fighting Satanists the whole way. I mean, what can you say? It's just scene after scene after scene after scene, a little reprieve of something's not right here, and then they go to gas stations. The gas station attendants are weird. And then actually there's
a lot of creepy town folk that they're constantly, and I mean, you get why Lara Parker is scared. A lot of creepy town folk. You see a lot of these creepy backwoods looking people.
Yeah.
That do also exist in Texas as well. Yes.
And And actually, the director gives a cameo as, I believe, one of the gas station attendants, one of the creepy gas station attendants. You know?
Oh, really? I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Was he the guy? Which one?
I think it was the second one. I think it was the second one, and he's just like, you got a headlight out or whatever.
Oh, that's right.
That. And then you I bet if you went back and sort of watched this, you'll see the same people sort of pop up.
That's what
if you went back.
I think they wear different costumes.
They wear different clothes, but I think I could be wrong, but they could have all been in that initial scene.
I think that's what's going on, honestly. When I watched it again this time around, I think I've watched this movie at least 4 times now, oddly, at this point. And yeah, I noticed that it's really, they're just reusing the same people from the Satanic thing in the beginning, I think. Because you see them all wearing masks in the beginning, so you don't see them in the beginning. They're all wearing these satanic masks in the beginning, right?
Well, the one guy they have robes and they're all dressed like whatever, and they're running.
They're all wearing cloaks at least, so you can't see their faces, And and it's night, you can't see, and where they're running after them exactly, you can't see them.
I bet if you froze the film, they would all keep appearing. If you were eagle-eyed in the movie,
you could make a drinking game out of it. Drink every time you see the Satanist show back up, or show up in the scene again,
It's creepy, and there are people in the band at the honky tonk they're at. What do they say? Yes. What do they call that place?
The Honky Tonk Club. What was that place name? Except for that, the guy says, this couple invites them. They end up in a trailer park at one point. For those of you that haven't seen the movie, and yes, this couple next door, this redneck couple, y'all, comes right next door, invites themselves into their RV with a freshly made pitcher of margarita, which automatically that would win me over, honestly. If somebody brought
we'll run from Satanists, but you have margaritas. We don't trust anybody, but
I'd be like,
trust somebody with margaritas.
I mean, I would trust them automatically. I'd be like, how y'all doing? Come on in.
Nobody with a pitcher of margaritas has ever done anything
bad.
bad.
In the margarita, yes. How bad could they be? And then yes,
they invite them to a honky tonk.
They invite them to a honky tonk club, and they say with the introduction of the steaks will melt in your mouth, and the country music is some of the best you ever heard in the world.
And it is some country music, y'all. Sit back. We're not talking like, Blake Shelton.
No, this is drinking. This is not Blake Shelton. No, this is not even Garth Brooks. This is like beer drinking, ass kicking music. And then for no reason, a brawl breaks out when it looks like they're having a good time.
I love it. You can't have a honky tonk in the 70s without a brawl breaking. You just can't.
It turns into the Palomino Club in Hooper, the movie Hooper. The Burt Reynolds movie Hooper, for those of you that don't know what I'm talking about.
It's the Honky Tonk Scene Movie Act of 1971. If you have a honky tonk, there has to be rednecks brawling. It just has to happen.
That's what it was. Or you had to have a brawl every time you had a redneck bar, or a honky tonk bar. My mom, I've been to honky tonk bars, having been from Texas. My mom liked to hang out there, those things. So
she liked to brawl. She was a scrapper.
She liked to brawl, yeah. Oh, I saw her get into some brawls. No. I'm just joking. But
Jordan, hold my beer.
I never saw really a fight break out. I usually saw people about to fall over from being drunk too much while they were dancing, maybe.
Yeah.
I saw that one time, but no, very rarely did I ever see brawls break out at a honky tonk club.
Rarely.
Very rarely.
Yeah, you weren't in the 70s movie. But then, at that RV park, they come back.
Exactly.
They come back from the bar. They see the brawl and they're like, all right, casually, it's time to leave. Whatever.
And shit's getting worse, yes.
Yeah, it's time to go. Brawl's starting. See you guys later. Thank you for, whatever. And the other couple's just sitting there loving the brawl. And
the
then,
brawl is their cue to leave. Yeah. And then, the other couple stays and just watches the brawl, I think, right? Yeah.
Yeah, they're enjoying it. They're just sitting there like as if they're eating popcorn watching a movie.
That's great, yeah. Like they're just they're watching an episode of Hee-Haw, like they're watching Hee-Haw at home. Yeah.
And so they get back, and what happens?
Shit gets worse.
Dog. She has this little dog.
Cute little dog.
Ginger.
Yes.
I think is the dog's name. And Ginger is dead, hanging from the RV. Someone broke into the RV, killed Ginger.
Yeah.
Right? And it's
And this
horrible.
is like filmmaking 101 here. You know, when you want to see the villain be bad, you know, when you want to show the villain being bad, as George Lucas once said, you show the villain strangling a cat, and this is like 10 steps forward worse. Of course, this is they killed their dog. You know, their cute little dog.
We already seen the dead dog count in this movie is pretty high. We've already seen a dead dog in the beginning.
That's right, because they're dripping the dead dog's blood over the sacrifice thing that they do. Yeah.
It's hanging in trees. There's a lot of dead.
Yeah. They do not like dogs in this movie.
Dead dogs. Now there's a cat that's fine. So they must be down with cats, but not dogs. These are the kind of Satanists that don't like dogs that much. You know,
that's right. The gas station attendant has a cat that sneers at the
Yeah, and I think that actor was getting scratched to shit because I don't think that cat was wanting to be held. And that was funny.
Yeah, I agree.
I just see him like, God damn it! Could this be the last take? This cat was trying to. I think that was, that may have been. Was that the one with the director? No, I don't think that was the director. Anyway,
that might have been.
So,
that might have been. I think. No.
The dog is dead horribly. The girl's freaking out. Laura's freaking out, or whatever. Kelly's
Parker
freaking out.
Again. Yeah. Peter Fonda's wife in the movie.
In a really good moment, she's in really good acting. She's freaking.
It's supposed to be her dog. Yeah, it's supposed to be her.
It's her dog, and then Warren was like, "What is this?" In the beginning of the movie, like, you're bringing a dog, we're gonna have to stop every 10 minutes.
She said they should have left. That they should have gone back home. She said she wanted to go back home. This is what happens.
This is what happens, and they're in the RV park, and there's all these people in their robes, these old people, and nobody saw it. Didn't anybody see anything?
Yeah, and Peter Fonda's crying out this way. Yeah.
And she is losing it. And she's like, let's go home.
Suddenly all the people in this RV park are fucking creepy. Like I've never seen such creepiness in bathrobes and pajamas. These people are so ordinary looking, it's creepy.
I'm just not saying anything.
I don't know any other way to describe it. They're just standing there in the shadows in the night, though, in the dark. Yeah. They're just staring at them. They don't say anything. And Peter Fonda, didn't you see anything?
And then they leave.
Which makes us think that everybody's in on it, of course, still, once again.
You don't know. These could just be people watching people freak out and just like, oh, I don't want to get involved in this. You don't know. Is everyone a Satanist? I don't know. Nobody
says anything. That's the creepy part is nobody says anything. So it's like they just stare at them like in shock.
And then they get on the road, and what do they find? Some rattlesnakes. I have to say this.
Rattlesnakes in the RV, yes. Hidden away in the cabinets and all tucked away.
And I got to say, I swear to God, they threw a rattlesnake on Laura Park. Maybe it was defanged or something. It did not look fake. These rattlesnakes, this whole scene does not look fake. I mean, obviously they cut and there's actors and stuff. Yeah. But there's like real snake handling going on. These are big.
I hope they were I hope they were devenomized or whatever. I don't know, but it looks way too real. It does. It looks like they just threw three rattlesnakes into the scene. And rattlesnakes are, you can find those in Texas easily, right? So,
they were probably just in the RV anyway. And then the director was like, let's just shoot these snakes.
Peter Fonda's laying right next to them, though, one of them at one point in the conflict.
This was really good editing, or they were just throwing snakes at everybody.
Yeah,
there is no one of these were not fake snakes. Like later on in the movie, we see a dummy, a very obvious dummy. These are not fake snakes. In movies when people are shaking a rubber snake, someone just threw a rattlesnake on somebody.
Wait, which scene was a dummy? Oh, I think I know which scene you're talking about. Okay, we haven't got there yet, though.
No, we haven't got there. But it kind of reminded me of Kill Bill a little bit, the trailer fight there. I don't know why. It just confined spaces and stuff. Snakes.
It might have influenced Kill Bill. I mean, it came out before Kill Bill, obviously. So
a couple years before Kill Bill. I mean, Tarantino must have seen this.
Just that little moment. Yeah. Oh, surely.
Because you're in an RV, and I think the RV is being a character in a set in the movie. It's kind of confining. It's claustrophobic sometimes. You know what I mean? And so you're in this little RV.
See how tiny the whole spaces are constantly. You wonder even how they're all sleeping in that RV kind of at some points.
Yeah. I don't think they sleep in this movie. I think the girls
They hint
sleep.
that there's a back bedroom or a back bed area next to the bathroom in the very back. There's a smashed window in the very back. But then they hint at that there's like probably a couch fold out, I guess, as well.
Jordan's about to actually the RV. Actually, I took the liberty of making a sketch of the RV. I looked up a 1975 Roadmaster, and there is only one sleeping area. So, pothole. Yeah, there's I don't know. Nobody does any sleeping in this movie.
I had somebody yell at me in a YouTube comment over the difference between an RV and a Winnebago. No joke.
And what is it?
No, I don't remember, honestly.
I think a Winnebago is a brand.
It was almost like the Winnebago guy was yelling at me in the comments, though. No joke. Let me tell you the difference between an RV and a Winnebago. That was the way it read in big caps.
Oh man. I don't know.
It was over a video I cut on YouTube, a crossover between Race with the Devil and this show called 3 for the Road that was on in the 70s, starring Little Leaf Garrett and who played his dad? Somebody well known back then played his dad as well. And it was like some show.
2 for the Road. I don't know if I've ever seen 3 for the Road.
It was a dad and his 2 kids that were like Route 66, I guess, you know.
And they run into Satanists?
I don't think they did. No, I was trying to do a cross cut with that in Race with the Devil, though.
So after they fight off the rattlesnake, they're back on the road, and this RV gets beat up, dude. And the Satanists are coming up in cars, and we have some car wrecking action. 70's car wrecking action, Pee-wee. There are just wrecks upon wrecks. Like, they are determined to take this motorhome and destroy it. And so basically they're just wrecking the hell out of this motorhome, and then the Satanists jump on top, and they're trying to.
They get pursued by the Satanists, again, and it's a big chase, man.
Yeah,
what a hell of a chase! And then what is it? Peter Fonda gets on top of the RV with a gun, because this is after.
Yeah, they bought a gun. They did stop and get a gun.
They arm up, and they go to a roadside general store that sells guns. But which in Texas, I guess, is believable.
It is Texas.
It is Texas. And
we'll have some gas, and do you have any guns? And he's like, yeah.
They don't ask for a gun license either, oddly, from them at all.
You know how easy it is to buy a gun in Texas now. In the 70s, they probably just
the Brady Bill and all that still.
Yeah, they probably gave you a gun when you bought a cheeseburger.
It's true. I didn't think about that. Yeah, I did hear an old guy once when I was at a IHOP in Midland talking about I could ride down the street with my shotgun on my back in the old days. But anyway, I digress.
They used to have gun racks in cars, so they get a gun, and then
they arm up too. They buy every gun in the store. It looks like almost.
Yeah, and then so the Satanist is trying to pour. I mean, this is a thrilling movie.
Yes. Another reason why
it hasn't stopped. They're constantly
drinking and guns and rednecks and all that.
It's Satanist. It's awesome.
And Satanists.
So they're pouring like gasoline down the little what do they call it? Like a sunroof or not sunroof?
Yes, the sun. During the pursuit with when the Satanists are actually on top of the RV while they're driving down a highway. Yeah, and the Satanists are pouring gasoline through the sunroof. Yeah. Of the RV.
I mean, the Satanists are just all up on this RV the whole movie. Like, there's so many times when the Satanists are just hanging on the side of the RV and they're just trying to knock them off.
They seem like they want to destroy the RV constantly. Like they're really keen on that. Yeah.
This isn't about the ceremony. I think they're just jealous of that pimp ass RV because it's got a microwave in it. It's got a step. Like we get a tour of the RV not once but twice of this.
It wasn't just they saw something they shouldn't have seen. They're also jealous of the RV maybe.
I mean, it's pimped out. I mean,
it is pimped out though, man. It is literally definitely. It's like a pimped out. It's like a pimp my RV, pimp my house thing before pimp my house.
The Satanists have just old rickety, like old cars, like wrecking trucks. I mean, of course, there's a level of penis envy and jealousness going on.
The car
with the RV.
The cars do look outdated for that time.
They're from the 50s instead of 60s. They have really shitty old cars.
Because they are in the most backwoods areas of Texas here, basically.
Yeah.
Which is believable once again. Oh, there are some good stunts, man.
Like they knock one of the Satanists off and he falls. Thank God he didn't die. They knock him off the RV into a little tiny creek. You know what I mean? And knock him off on a bridge.
And then my favorite moment now of oh shit moments in a movie is Peter Fonda climbs up on the roof, is about to shoot the Satanist, and they drive under an underpass, and the Satanist is standing up, and it knocks him way the fuck off onto the highway.
Yeah, it's
clearly
a dummy.
I
A part of
guess.
that was a dummy. Yeah,
But what a nicely edited stunt, though.
it was, and because you see the teamwork there. That let me tell you, how that scene goes to elaborate further.
Yeah.
Like
No, that's the
Oates,
thing. They were not lazy on this movie. At the
no.
same time.
Oates, there was these. Yeah, what?
There was probably a lot of excess behind the scenes, I suspect, once again on this movie. But
I mean,
I don't think they were
usual.
being. I don't think they were being lazy on this movie at the same time. Having said
Oh God,
that.
no! Their acting chops are great because this chemistry, this symmetry between Warren Oates and Peter Fonda. So this whole scene goes like this: he sees the overpass, he understands that's an opportunity to knock the guy off. So then he honks, and then Peter Fonda hears the honk. Peter Fonda yells to the Satanist because the Satanist is crouched down. He's like, "Hey!" And the Satanist stands up and looks at Peter Fonda and then gets knocked off, and Peter Fonda ducks down.
That's the beauty of it too. He actually reacts to the hey.
It's and that's great. Yeah, I love in movies like hey, and somebody looks over and then gets something. I mean, in real life, that's what you would do.
Yeah.
Like hey.
It's just like that moment in Mitchell when the guy's robbing him at the beginning. Martin Balsam yells, "Hey!" and the guy literally turns around, and so he can be shot by him. It's
that's
that
what
same
you do
kind
in
of
real
moment.
life. Pro tip.
Exactly. You just react, and then something bad will happen. Just get that person to react. That's all you need to do. You just say,
these guys are they're best buds, and they're really coordinated. And that comes across in the movie. It's not a stale relationship. It's not forced at all. It's all very organic, which makes the movie happen so
Warren
well.
Oates is at the wheel at this time, yes, and Peter Fonda is climbing up on the roof, which they think he's crazy for doing, which he is, of course, with a gun.
Yeah, he had a shotgun. He should have just shot through the roof at this. At this point, the RV is trapped.
Accidentally. He could shoot he could shoot into the roof accidentally down below.
Yeah,
so
maybe
sure,
you don't
that's
want
understandable.
And they've got buckshot, so maybe you don't want to discharge a shotgun in a moving RV. Maybe that was not a good idea because they're being hit by cars when this is happening and stuff. And
yeah, is that the kind of gun that just fires out the little pellets, I think, or something like that? Or
it fires out big pellets, Jordan, big ones.
That's what.
You don't want to. You don't want to trip. You don't want to trip and shoot off some buckshot in an RV.
I forgot what it's called. Anyway, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so we've got a really good obligatory 70s car chase scene. It's really great. A lot of wrecking cars, a lot of stuff happening. And then what happens, Jordan? We get one of the most classic lines in cinema history.
Oh, yes. They run into an area where there's a school bus accident, but yet kids are actually running around. The kids don't look injured. They're all playing around the accident. And Warren Oates has
there's dirt on the highway and stuff.
There's dirt on the highway. It looks like a scene, like a wreck scene. It looks like a wreck scene, possibly. So they're driving through it slowly. Warren Oates is skeptical, and he has the great line of, "I don't believe in a school bus on a Sunday morning." Did I get that right? No.
No, he says, "I don't believe in a school bus on Sunday."
That's what it is.
Yeah,
I don't believe in a school bus on a Sunday. Oh, classic.
It's like
quotable.
It's
line.
like play it again, Sam. No, the line is the line is
right up there. Yeah.
I don't believe a school bus on Sunday. It's a famous line.
It is a beautiful line.
And it's one of those Warren Oatesisms. Only Warren Oates could deliver a line like that. You can't have any other actor deliver I don't believe a school bus on Sunday. Warren Oates can deliver that line. And at this point, they can't trust anybody in anything. Wait a second. That's how deep they are into the rabbit hole here.
Every area in this neck of the woods, as we say in Texas, they can't trust him. They can't trust it.
They finally learned at this point. And then they're right, because then the Satanists start following them again. They're right.
Yeah.
Warren Oates is right. And so basically they get through all of that. And I may be out of sync in some of this.
No, but I think that this is pretty much the gist of the plot, though.
This is the gist of the plot. They're running from Satanists the whole movie. And then, spoiler alert, Jordan, they stop. And the movie slows down. It's golden hour. And they're like, we need to get some rest before we get to Amarillo. They turn on the radio.
We think that maybe they've outrun them finally, and everything is going to be good.
Outrun the Satanists. They're going to get some rest.
What better for it to be than during magic hour, during sundown?
and then they pull out a bottle of alcohol to celebrate them escaping the Satanists. Movie's over. It's nighttime. And then what do we see?
We see Peter Fonda break out a bottle of vodka. For starters, though, and say this is going to be the driest martini you're ever going to have, because they're looking at how disheveled everything is in the RV, and then the another oh shit moment out of many in this movie happens, just out of nowhere. Bam! They're out there and they light up a big fire around the RV.
Everybody from the movie, the sheriff,
everybody,
the couple,
and the couple with the margaritas.
Beware of couples bringing margaritas. Yeah, everybody, the gas station attendant, people you thought were dead, everybody comes out in the end, and then
they were all in on it. Yes, they were like they are jumped by these Satanists.
Everybody in Texas is a Satanist, confirmed.
And oddly, they give you spoilers again. I mean, spoilers out the ass, of course, but they give you a helicopter shot of all of it, overlooking, giving you a bird's eye, godlike view of it all. That's the odd part, I thought, too.
And then in one of the coolest things, this fire ring begins around the RV.
Ring of fire around the RV. Yes, man. I mean, it just, god damn. Pardon my French. Just like I said, that's the bigger oh shit moment. This is what is interesting about the movie, though. The movie is like the most interesting train wreck of a movie, of a horror, a horror film, a horror suspense movie. That's what I would really honestly classify or categorize what genre this movie is in. It's literally,
train wreck is a little harsh. It's not a perfect film, but
train wreck is a little harsh because it is a well edited film, in my opinion. Honestly, it doesn't waste time for the most part. Maybe for the motocross sequences go on a bit, but it's the 70s, go figure. But no, for the most part, I think it's a well-edited, tight movie. It runs at a brisk less than 90 minutes, I think. A brisk 88 minutes or 90 minutes or so.
The acting
is really good. I mean, that's the thing about it. It's got really great actors. You got Warren Oates power, Peter Fonda power, as our buddy Nick Clement would say, Loretta Swit power, and Lara Parker power. Hell,
I mean, the sheriff, R.G. Armstrong, these are
R.G. Armstrong power. That guy was in a lot of stuff. Exactly.
There's people that these are like tried and true actors who are in a bunch of stuff. In fact, the director, Jack Starrett, however you say his name, he was in everything. He was an actor as well. And
I didn't realize that. I need to look all this up again.
He was the old prospector in Blazing Saddles, Gabby. He played that role. That was him. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
He was in a bunch of stuff. He directed Cleopatra Jones. He directed a bunch of movies too.
So no slouch here either.
No.
These are powerhouse, but these are powerless. I mean, for the layman too, once again, in the 1975 era world, these guys are all powerhouses, honestly. You know, these are A-list. Warren Oates and Peter Fonda are pretty much A-list at this point.
This is a big film. I want to go back to the ending. This movie ends, like, talk about a downer, but I mean, it was the 70s. It was like, we don't care how you think we should end a movie.
Yeah, the bad guy gets away in the 70s generally.
It's like a nihilistic movie, like just when you think they're out of it, it's like Night of the Living Dead, like boom, the hero dies after all of this.
Yeah. Or, you have a moment to breathe, and then, you think, oh, the nightmare is over, finally. Oh, I can breathe. No, it's not over. Dun, dun, dun.
And then close to silent, no music credits.
But absolutely, nihilistic,
this is the movie.
Existentialist, fatalistic ending, definitely.
It's so sad because you love these characters so much, but it's complex.
You're on. I'm surprised they didn't get killed, honestly, because it's the 70s also. Because usually they would get killed at the end of the 70s, and one would survive out of all of them.
Yeah, that's the implication.
I'm surprised they didn't kill off Warren Oates and Peter Fonda and Lara Swit, and then Lara Parker's the only one alive, traumatized. I'm surprised they didn't go that direction.
Honestly, since it's possible that it ends with an open question. They could have survived. I doubt it.
Yeah,
obviously, but they could have, and they could have set it up for a sequel.
Yeah, maybe that's what it was. Were they setting it up for a sequel? OMG, Race with
you don't see them die. But that's the problem is they could have had a whole franchise.
Yeah.
It was a missed opportunity. Can you picture the sequels? Like,
yeah, you could have,
Race-
Lara Parker would be saying, "Why does this keep happening to us?"
yeah. I mean, I just see like this is such a great cast and great formula. You could have
I
had
could see it. Yeah, I could see at least
sequel.
part 2.
Race with the Devil 2, still racing with the devil.
I mean,
Race with the Devil 3,
Dawn of the
Tokyo
Dead
Drift.
was a sequel to Night of the Living Dead, pretty much. So, and
Yeah.
that was 1978 that came out. It wasn't really a era for, primed up with sequels yet. Still,
It wasn't. If
Like
it came
they-
out today, there'd be like Race with the Devil, Too Fast, Too Satanic. There'd be like a
Yeah.
series of they're still racing with the devil each move.
I mean, yeah, you had The Godfather too, but that was kind of a rare thing still, I think, in the 70s. I don't think they had, except for overseas.
Jaws 2 in the 80s it happened. In the 80s it became a big, the 70s,
seem more-
not so much.
Well, yeah, except for overseas, maybe with Django movies or the Sergio Leone movies, they always seem kind of connected.
Yeah, there were sequels. There were just like 2. You'd have 2 movies. You wouldn't have like a whole franchise.
But no, I could see them doing at least a part 2 easily. Yeah, they could have easily have done a part 2, just a part 2,
and showed them like what we kind of feel. Here, let's get into some criticisms about this movie. Okay, it is not a perfect film. I love it.
No,
I love it for what it is.
Same
It is
here.
not a perfect film. And I will say, because number one, a lot of the music choices make it feel like a TV movie.
It does have
Especially
I mean, TV movies were bizarre in the 70s anyway. They felt
this
like
could have been a TV movie in the 70s.
It could have easily have been a TV movie. In fact, you could have easily have shaved off the R parts of this movie and easily put it on as a TV movie.
Yeah. Cut out the
Because
cuss word.
it does have nudity and blood. So, but you don't actually see a lot of blood in this movie. Not like a slasher.
Or a lot of nudity. You see clips. I mean, for a 70s movie,
Yeah.
they were throwing, boobs in your face. This is tasteful. If you want to use it, it's kind of like for the purpose of the plot. They're not like the guys are perving, but you don't really
It's
sit
mostly
there.
from the rear. It's more like a PG-13, what PG-13 used to be. You just get a butt shot in there, but no real frontal.
You see it obscured by the fire. It's kind of looking.
I
through
noticed
the
that.
fire.
It looked. In fact, I noticed this time around watching it. I think they smeared Vaseline over the lens.
I think you're right too. I was noticing that too. We were perving on this scene as well, obviously, because I was like, "This looks a little blurred." This looks
And
for some reason.
I wonder if they were. I wonder if they were trying for a PG, possibly, or just thinking maybe for, TV sake.
And that goes to my next criticism of the movie. If anything, this movie feels like it held back a little bit. Like it's great. Everything happens, but there could have been more. I wanted to see more. Does that make sense?
I mean,
like,
I from an editorial standpoint, I say it's good editorially for the 70s, but I still would have tightened it up personally if I'd cut it.
I think the director's good, but I think a more seasoned director or another director could have drawn the suspense a little more and really punched it up just a little more. Do you know what I mean? Like it's somebody
it's a
fun movie.
I'm trying to think of a guy back then a director back then that would have been.
Look at The Devil's Reign. The Devil's Reign exists on a different plane than this.
Yeah, The Devil's Reign oddly has a bigger scope to it.
It has a bigger scope. It's like the drama is a little more. There are movies that did this a little better. You know what I mean?
The Devil's Reign in some parts of it feels like a TV movie, but there are some big moments in Devil's Reign, I will say.
Oh, totally. But do you know what I'm saying? I wanted to see a little more. I don't know how or why or where, but it could have been a little better somehow.
Yeah.
I don't know how. It just taught action a lot in the editing and music. I think the music kind of like cheapens
Maybe that's
it somehow.
what it is. You feel it could have been a tighter movie still.
It could have been better. I'm fine with everything because I love Peter Fonda and Warner. I love all of this. It just could have been better somehow. I
was skipping backward thinking about when they're watching the satanic scene in the beginning of the movie, and Warren Oates. I don't understand why he yells at his wife when they're trying to be discreet.
Yeah, I know. I was wondering that too. I'm like, shut up, Warren Oates.
Shut off the light. Turn off the light. Shut up. And you're like, dude, why are you yelling?
And that's what clues them off, not her yelling at him.
Already. Yeah,
him yelling at her.
Quit staring at everything, and you're wondering.
Get to the chopper.
Yeah, get to the chopper. Get to the RV.
And here's another thing, Jordan, bear with me. So they set up this whole motorcycle situation. These guys are motorcycle racers. They have the motorcycles on the RV, but we never see a motorcycle race against the Satanists or the motorcycles used in any way to fight the Satanists. The Satanists disabled the motorcycles, but at the end of the movie, I wonder if there was a cut scene or two. Like this movie is it's too like 1 hour and 30 minutes. Like
there was too much time given in the beginning with Peter Fonda when he says, "Where's the other guy?" You know, and they find Peter Fonda on a track trying to get a motorcycle up to speed. And yeah, it doesn't come in handy later on in any way. None of it comes in handy later on in any way. It's almost like just filler.
Yeah, it's like a MacGuffin with the payoff, and I don't blame the 70s.
Makes it feel like time filler in the movie.
Yeah, I don't blame the 70s for just throwing in a bunch of stuff like that. But
yeah, and I know motocross was coming up in the 70s as well. In
the 70s was all about outdoor activities and hobbies.
Yeah, they were coming
all
really
about it.
More into vogue, I guess, or something in an odd way.
People had more leisure time when they weren't doing drugs.
I guess, yeah, maybe that's what it was.
To go hang gliding.
You're right. None of the motocross comes in handy at all later on. It's almost like it's an ad for an area to motocross in.
Yeah.
If you want to go motocrossing in your spare time,
go to San Antonio Motocross.
You know, like when they used to stick the Universal ad on a movie, you know, by the way, this movie is from Universal, and when in Southern California, visit Universal Studios.
Yeah.
The Devil's Reign. When in South Texas, visit this for motocrossing.
Yeah, a race with the devil on Wednesdays. We have a Winnebago race on Wednesdays. But anyway, but it doesn't pay off, and even they have a little race between themselves, but it feels like it should. Like they have they're trucking these motorcycles around. I would have loved a scene or two. Maybe it was cut for length.
And a good example is we've kind of left this out talking about the plot, but it's not that integral to the plot. But yeah, at one moment when Lara Parker says we have to go back, I want to go back home. She says she's in the telling Peter Fonda in the other room in the RV. Warren Oates has the skiing stick because this is what they're also doing. They happen to be going to Aspen, Colorado to ski on top of all this.
I'm surprised we didn't get a skiing scene.
The ski stick actually comes in handy with the plot later on with the snakes that happen in the RV. So, but yet, yes, nothing happens with the motocross. Nothing comes in handy later on with the motocross.
Yeah.
Like
this movie sets up a lot. You're right. This movie sets up a lot that it pays off, but that doesn't pay off. And it feels weird. I'm wondering if there was cut scenes or there were cut scenes.
For the layman that don't know what we're talking about, if you look at the movie Gladiator by Ridley Scott, Joaquin Phoenix's fighting skills come in handy at the end of the movie. Spoilers, because you see him training in the beginning as a fighter and getting really good as a sword fighter. I mean, meaning that kind of thing. Or Black Rain, another Ridley Scott movie. Michael Douglas loves motorcycles. He loves motorcycle racing. It comes in handy at the end of the movie because he ends up racing the bad guys through a rice paddy fields.
Payoff. Set up,
although
payoff
the 70s,
is very simple.
Yes, the 70s was full of this kind of stuff, though. Oddly, though, this movie's not the only one guilty of it from the 70s.
Oh no, they would show a scene that meant nothing at the beginning of a 70s movie, like nothing.
Yeah.
This guy works in an aquarium store. We never see a fish the rest of the movie, but we spend 30 minutes at the aquarium store. You know what I mean?
It's a very European kind of thing. I think it's it was the European influence on 70s movies at that point, a little bit.
But there is a realism. You're right, to the European influence. There is sort of a realism to this movie. And
maybe that's what's to blame for that, maybe at the same time, the European movie influence.
Yeah.
But yeah, back to this movie, and yeah, it's not the only one guilty of this kind of stuff. But yeah, it's still for this movie. Yeah, maybe that's what you mean by holding back a bit too, and then maybe
I wanted more, Jordan. It's a good.
But maybe the blows should have been harder, so to speak, with the horror moments in the movie.
Yeah,
the blows could have been a little more severe, harder for the.
There could have been more deaths. The stakes would have been higher.
Maybe they should have had a bigger baseball bat, so to speak.
It feels like there's almost a third cut out of this movie somewhere, or I don't know. They
Maybe
ran
it's
out
back
of
to
money.
the editing, yeah, because I feel like it could have been tighter, the editing.
And I think Jack Starrett is good of a as well as he does some things in this movie. Yeah, the editing and the pacing is tight, but
We talked about Man from Hong Kong last week, oddly, which is also 1975, released by 20th Century Fox, the same year as Race with the Devil, and that movie. Now that movie is very fast paced, not a wasted moment. You know, everything pays off for everything. The hang gliding at the beginning pays off at the end, even.
Yeah.
But this movie, I mean, things should pay off. I agree. Like, you should have some kind of, why didn't they have some race with
an actual race with the devil? Like I don't know.
A motocross race. Yeah.
Motocross race. And the Satanists are on motorcycles, man.
You
Can you imagine that?
Yeah. I mean, right there, they had the area to do it right there. And they had the stuntmen, obviously.
They have the stuntman, and I think even War Notes with Peter Fonda.
Is that what you mean by holding back a bit?
Peter Fonda can ride a motorcycle. We know this, and then I think War Notes was even riding a dirt bike in the.
They looked like they were doing their own.
They weren't doing the big jumps, but that would have been a cool scene. Like, why wasn't there some sort of use of the motor? They had the motorcycles in some way, like
Is that also what you mean by holding back? I guess.
That's what I'm saying. Like, there was just. It feels like it could have gone further in many ways. It's good for what it is. It's not great. And the reason it's not a great movie is because they held back a little bit. It felt more like a scale and scope of a TV movie instead of going big. That being said, it's still an awesome, fun movie. It's a great little movie. It's just not as big as it. I don't know what I'm saying.
And it is a tight little movie for its era. You know, I mean, for its year.
And it's quick. It's an hour and a half.
Yeah.
But I would have sat with another 15
I mean,
minutes.
Logan's Run comes out a year later. It's a different movie, science fiction and all, but it's a slower paced movie by comparison to Race with the Devil even still. But I mean, fast paced for the 70s, definitely. But I agree with, they could have, the suspense could have been a little tighter. Maybe I almost want to recut the movie and do a fan cut now.
I just want to see a motorcycle race with some Satanists where there's a bunch of Satanists.
That would have been. Why couldn't they have a dangerous motocross?
That should have been the last act. They should have like
right in the same area where they were motocrossing earlier. Why couldn't they have a chase right there while the sun's going down? And it looked like there's obstacles they could have been in the way. It
jumping over things. Like, what if there was a Satanist and they jump over something and like land the bike on the Satanist kind of thing? Like, they're killing Satanists, and that'd be that would have ratcheted this movie up to the next level. And they were perfectly capable of doing that. Yeah.
Another thing I will say, actually, I will give the movie as far as its weaknesses are the female characters. They're a little bit too. They're not. They should be a little stronger. They should have been a little stronger, I think. Even for 1975, I feel like they didn't. I felt like they were too much damsel in distress, a bit.
I totally agree. That's a good point. And because especially
other than Loretta Swift driving the camper, but they kind of still treat her like she's a dumb woman driving the camper, in my opinion.
And they're just crying, and the boys are coming in and saving them. Yeah.
Exactly. And the guys are weaklings as well. That's normal. I expect that. But they make the men do all the work at the same time. And it's like, why would it be out of question for the woman to step up and be like, I'm sick of this shit? I could see my wife easily being like that, stepping up over me and being, I'm sick of these fuckers.
That's another way they might have had.
That's another thing they could have done better in the
step up and own the situation, or fought some Satanists a little more. Yeah, it seems a little dated even for the time.
And I feel like female characters were starting to get stronger at that point in 70s movies. And at some points, there's some movies that are still guilty. But
Starrett directed Cleopatra Jones, though. This same man made Cleopatra Jones.
Okay, so there you go. And that is that's the female's a lead in that movie.
With a natural hair female lead is all about like kicking ass in that movie. So he knows about strong women.
It was not to bring my feminist side into all this, but I mean, she just for the women. Yeah, I'm talking for the women here, man.
And he did a lot of motorcycle movies. Like, I'm looking to see Run Angel Run. I've never seen that, but I have seen The Losers, which is a bunch of, not as good as you would think, but a bunch of bikers who go back to Vietnam and they fight the Viet Cong, I believe, or they go to Cambodia. Sorry, my bad. Anyway, but he did several like biker movies and blaxploitation. Slaughter. This is the dude that directed Slaughter, man, and
So yeah,
Cleopatra
maybe
Jones.
so maybe the females should have been stronger in this script at least. Should have given
And
them more to do.
What a weird and interesting like movie. I hear that is so 70s. Jack Starrett, man, what a 70s career. You're doing blaxploitation, you're doing biker movies, and then you're doing like Race with the Devil.
I should also bring up too that I noticed once again that this movie was also produced by Paul Maslansky, the great Paul Maslansky, who in the 70s had an interesting varied filmography, if you will. He also was the producer behind Damnation Alley, starring Jan Michael Vincent. Came out the same year as Star Wars, also by 20th Century Fox.
Another
and
RV
also
movie.
The great,
sort of.
and Sugar Hill, the really great movie Sugar Hill from 1974 about the woman who gets these zombie hitmen to to kill these mobsters who killed her boyfriend.
We've got to talk about Sugar Hill.
We will have to do a podcast about Sugar Hill at some point.
We're talking about Race with the Devil. We've got to talk about Sugar Hill. So.
You talk about a tight movie for the 70s. But yeah, Paul Maslansky, the man behind a lot of these movies. And then later goes into when we go into the 1980s with the producer Paul Maslansky, what does he end up doing? The Police Academy movies.
Yeah.
I mean, you talk about an odd filmography, an odd sorts of a filmography.
This is all very weird.
Yeah.
Okay, Jordan, let's wrap it up.
Fascinating. Let's wrap it up.
Jordan, what do you think about this movie?
How do we rate this again? In a scale of 1 to 10, I still give Race with the Devil because it's just it's a fun movie to watch late at night, drinking beer and all. I rated it. I give it an 8 still, despite all of its weaknesses. Okay, I give it a 7. Maybe I was being too generous, but just because of the weaknesses of it.
It's okay. You can subjectively rate things. I give it an 8. I'll go with your original 8 school buses on Sunday. Because of Warren Oates' power, because of Peter Fonda.
Okay, can I change my mind? I tie with you. I give it an 8. I'm sorry. I'm just weird about this, but yeah.
No, you've already submitted your rating.
It's not fair.
No, but yeah, if you love this sort of thing, you'll love it. It's a very famous movie. Could have been better. And that's one thing I sort of realized this time.
Did anybody see it?
I believe a school bus on Sunday.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
But
that is
a 7 and an 8, fine. And then I love it. I love this movie. It is fun. I bought it on Amazon. You introduced me to a rough copy of this movie that you had, I remember at one point. But it looks great on Amazon Prime, though. Too big ad for Amazon Prime.
Not a sponsor.
Don't you
have a poster for this? Do you have a poster for this one?
I wish. No. I almost.
Oh, no.
I found one on eBay that was cheap, but it was a little bit too raggedy.
All right, guys. The Robots Took My Podcast. Next time we'll be talking about another movie. Hope you enjoyed this, and take care.
Yeah. Watch Race with the Devil, please. Watch it, and don't watch it sober.
In all its Warren Oates glory, and check out some other Warren Oates films at your local Satanist library.
That's great.
All trailers, clips, music, or any other copyrighted material are used sparingly, edited from their original forms, and used for the purposes of criticism, discussion, commentary, and education about these fine films.